The next topic of discussion is Kirchhoff's rules or laws. We have previously discussed about Ohm's law, right? So in this chapter we saw what is Ohm's law. We learned that the potential difference is directly proportional to the current at a given temperature. Means the temperature is supposed to be constant for this particular law to be applicable. Then we will have the formula V is equal to IR, right? Now remember, Ohm's law is applicable only when you have a single resistor and a single potential source. Okay, see, for example, if a circuit is like this, let's say there are two resistors connected in the given way, R1 and R2 is there, and the potential difference across the cell is V. If I take it like this, if you have to apply Ohm's law, you cannot apply to both the resistors simultaneously. What we need to do is, first we need to resolve it in the sense you need to find the equivalent resistance and then only apply the Ohm's law, right? So now you can apply for R1 plus R2, you can apply Ohm's law saying that V is equal to I into R1 plus R2. But the complication that comes with Ohm's law is you cannot use it when the circuit becomes big. When the circuit becomes complicated, those kind of circuits are generally called as networks. Okay. So when the circuit becomes complicated in the sense when you have more than one cell present in the circuit, if at all that kind of a scenario occurs, it will be difficult for us to solve all the problems using Ohm's law alone. So for that, what we need to do is Kirchhoff has framed two laws which will be helpful for us to solve the complex circuits which are basically called as networks. So when you talk about a network, networks have branches associated with it. Let me show an example of how a network looks like. Let's say you have one resistor like this and you have another resistor across which there is a cell connected. Now you have another cell like this and you have a resistor in this way. So in this case, what happens is it is not easy for us to apply Ohm's laws to solve the problem because you have two cells. So you need to first look at how the cells are connected, whether the cells are in series or parallel. Similarly, you need to look at how the resistors are connected, whether they are in series or parallel or a mixed combination, and then draw the equivalent circuit and solve. So if this is the case, it becomes more complicated when the number of cells keeps increasing and the number of resistors keep increasing. So an easier way of solving these problems is given by Kirchhoff. So there are two basic laws which are helpful for us to solve such complex circuits. So the first law, so the Kirchhoff's first law is also called as junction rule or node rule, and sometimes it is also referred to as Kirchhoff's current law. In short form, we call it as KCL. So this law has a statement associated with it. Let's see what is the statement. So the statement is in any electrical circuit, okay, so whether it is a simple circuit or a complicated circuit, in any electrical circuit, the algebraic sum, please underline this word algebraic. Why I am using algebraic is because in physics there are two types of sum we always define. One is vectorial sum, that is a vector sum, or algebraic sum. So wherever you use the word algebraic sum, it means you need to take a proper sign into consideration. Generally, algebraic sum is used for physical quantities which are scalar in nature. Okay, so let's revisit the statement. In any electrical circuit, algebraic sum of what? Of all the currents meeting at a junction is 0. So what do you mean by this junction? Let me see. Let me show you. So if you look at the network, the sample network that I have drawn, let's say this is a 5 volt battery, this is a 3 volt battery. Now this 5 volt battery, let's say it starts supplying a current of value I1. Then a 3 volt battery, let's say it is supplying current I2. Obviously I1 will be less than I2 because the amount of energy which 5 volt is going to have is going to be more. So this I1 and I2 are reaching a point here. Let me name this point as A. This point A where two different resistors are meeting is what is called as a junction, or we technically call it as a node also. Okay. So the meaning of the statement is the algebraic sum of all the currents meeting at a junction is 0, means all the currents which are reaching this junction should be equal to 0. So let's say there is some other current I3 which is flowing through the resistor R1. Then how we are supposed to write the relation between I1, I2 and I3 according to the junction rule is the sum of all the currents. Which sum? See, I can write it in two ways. When I say sum, I am going to write it as I1 plus I2 plus I3. When I say algebraic sum, I will write it as I1 plus I2 plus of minus I3. The reason why I have introduced minus sign here is because I1 and I2 are towards the junction, I3 is leaving the junction. So this is the meaning of algebraic sum. You are not supposed to use the first expression. So do not use this. This is the right way of writing. So algebraic sum of all the currents entering the junction is equal to 0. Means I can say I1 plus I2 is equal to I3. So from this we can also frame an alternate definition to it. What is going to be the alternate definition? It is like this. I1 and I2 are the currents reaching the junction. I3 is the current leaving the junction. So once for first statement we have already written the expression. From that you are getting another idea. So what it states is sum of all the currents entering the junction is equal to sum of all the currents leaving the junction. Here I am not using the word algebraic because entering will have a particular sign and leaving will have another sign. So that itself will take care of all the sign factors and you can directly write the expressions. So according to the circuit there, I1 was coming like this, I2 was coming to the point A. So I1 plus I2 is equal to I3. That is the meaning of the statement. Right? This is an alternate statement. So either of the statements can be written in the exam when it is asked. Now the next question is, on what law is the Kirchhoff's current law based upon? So Kirchhoff's current law is based on the principle of conservation of charge. Let's try to understand why they are saying conservation of charge. So if you look at the basic definition of current, what is the basic definition of current? Current means the rate of flow of charge. Let's say there is Q1 amount of charge flowing per unit time T towards junction A. Q3 by T is leaving the junction A. Q2 by T is approaching the junction A. Then recollect the concept of additivity of charges. So additivity of charges is going to tell us Q1 plus Q2 is equal to Q3. So if I divide it with time on both the sides, then Q1 by T is what is I1, Q2 by T is what is I2, and Q3 by T is what is going to be I3. Okay. Similarly, we will go to Kirchhoff's second law. So Kirchhoff's second law is also called as loop rule, or sometimes it is also stated as Kirchhoff's voltage law. So what is Kirchhoff's voltage law? It is like this. So let's look at the statement. In short form, it is written as KVL. So let's look at what is the statement. In any closed loop, so generally if you take any closed loop, the algebraic sum, here also we are using the word algebraic. The algebraic sum of what? The algebraic sum of all the changes in the potential difference across all the devices. So what do you mean by all the devices is, the device can either be a battery or a resistor. Generally battery we call it as an active element or an active device, and the resistors are called as passive elements or passive devices. Okay. So whether it is going to be a battery or a resistor, the sum of potential difference occurring across all the devices put together is equal to 0. So what sum are we supposed to take? You need to be very careful. Again, we are going to be concerned only about the algebraic sum, right? Now, in mathematical form, we can write it like this. Sum of all the changes in potential difference is equal to 0. Okay. There is an alternate way in which you can state it. In any closed loop, the algebraic sum of the EMFs and the algebraic sum of the products of currents and resistances in various arms of the loop is 0. So if suppose, let me take a very simple circuit. Let's say there are two resistors R1 and R2 connected across the potential source E, and let's say the current that is flowing through this device is I. Now the statements, the alternate statement says that sum of the EMFs, what sum? We need to take the algebraic sum. Here again, algebraic means we need to take the sign into consideration. Let me tell you how to take the sign into consideration. So observe it carefully. So what you need to do is look at the way the current is flowing. In this particular diagram, the current is flowing in the clockwise direction. So clockwise means current is going to flow from higher to lower potential. We know the direction of conventional current. Current always flows from higher to lower potential. So for the resistor R1, the left hand side is higher potential, right hand side is lower potential. Similarly, across R2, the current is going to flow from higher to lower. Whereas for the battery, what happens is the smaller line is the lower potential and the bigger line is the higher potential. So here the meaning of algebraic is, when you use the word algebraic, it means when you are moving from high to low. When you are moving, I am repeating it, it has nothing to do with the direction of current. If suppose you are going in the direction of higher to lower potential, then you tend to lose energy. So lose energy means you need to write it as negative. Similarly, when you are moving from lower to higher potential, you tend to gain energy. That needs to be taken as positive. So let me show what it means. So if I take this point as A, B, C and D, let's consider the loop as A, B, C, D, A. So in the loop A, B, C, D, A, when you are going from A to B, what is happening? You are moving from higher to lower potential, right? When you are moving from higher to lower potential, I told you, you lose energy. So you are losing an energy of how much value? It is nothing but I into R, because what is the statement saying? Algebraic sum of the EMFs. So EMF is taken across the battery, and algebraic sum of the products of the currents and resistance is taken across the resistor. So I into R is going to occur between A and B. You have to check for what device is there. Between A and B, there is only one resistor. So wherever you see resistor, apply I into R formula. So it is going to be minus. Similarly, when you go from B to C, across B to C also there is only one resistor, and current that is flowing through it is I. So I into R2. Now we need to decide what sign is to be given. Across R2 also, you are going from B to C. B is at higher potential, C is at lower potential. Since you are moving from higher to lower, again you lose energy. Now when you go from C to D, you have a battery. So wherever you have a cell or a battery, you need to take the EMF into consideration. So EMF is written here. Now what should I write? Should I take it as positive or negative? We need to take it as positive, because when you are moving from C to D, you are moving from the lower to the higher potential. Now what is happening from D to A? D to A, there is no element present. There is no active or a passive element present. So it is just connected by a wire. So there is no potential drop. The meaning is algebraic sum of the EMFs and the product of the current and the resistance all put together in a loop is 0. So this is finally written as E is equal to I into R1 plus R2. So this is going to be the final expression. This is a known fact for us. We can solve it when using even Ohm's law. But here we are trying to solve it using Kirchhoff's law. So this is how you apply. So you need to remember this. Higher to lower means negative, lower to higher means positive. Now, what is the principle on which Kirchhoff's second law is based on? So Kirchhoff's second law is based on the concept of conservation of energy. Why we are using the word conservation of energy is because here what is happening is energy is neither created nor lost. Here the work is done by electrostatic force. So the reason is work is done by electrostatic force, and electrostatic force is conservative in nature. Electrostatic force is conservative in nature. So when you talk about a conservative force, work done by conservative force in a round trip is always 0. So that is why if you observe the statement delta V is equal to 0, we are saying, right, if you multiply with charge on both the sides, what do you get? If suppose delta V, I multiply with charge on both the sides, we know that from the second chapter Q into V is the potential energy. Potential energy means work done by the conservative force. So the sum of the work done by the conservative force in a round trip is 0. That is why we say that Kirchhoff's second law is based on the conservation of energy.